Okay, this is the video for 820. If you read through the lecture and used the audio files and whatnot, here's a video version going through that same reasoning process but showing you how to do it by hand. So this is a proof. Remember, the question for each of these is it valid or not? We've determined already that this is valid. On the midterm, I will not ask you the question, is this valid or not? I'm telling you straight up, these are valid, do a proof. There's 3 of them. If it's invalid, I tell you straight up, this is invalid, show this in a world, draw a world. So I tell you that in the midterm. Remember, the structure of the midterm is already contained in La Lima. I've got a post in there about what to expect. It's right after the last homework before the midterm, which is homework 12. It's also got a crucial review section in there that you really want to practice. So these last 3 homeworks again, homework 10, 11, and 12, plus that review section with those practice problems, will help get you ready for the midterm. And here's a big hint. Some of these problems will be almost directly in the midterm. Yeah, so make sure you practice these problems carefully. They're the ones that are not just getting you ready for the midterm, but it's summarizing all the previous concepts that we've covered in the course and then consolidating that into the practice for what to expect for the midterm. Okay, so here we go. So we start at the bottom. Get out your rule sheet again. As always, keep that on the side. You should print it out and have that on the side when you work these. So I start here. This is called, by the way, strengthening the antecedent. The left side is called the antecedent, ante for before. The right side is called the consequent, the thing that comes as a consequence. That's the technical terminology for the conditional. Left side is the condition or the antecedent, thing that comes before, and then the consequent is the thing that you expect. The prize, as it were, right? If you're the 50th caller, then you get a trip to Vegas. This is called strengthening the antecedent, and it turns out that this is valid. Why? Let's use a common sense example. If you're the 50th caller, you get the trip to Vegas. That's on the table. They're saying that's good. That offer is good, right? The question is, from that, does it follow that if you're the 50th caller and you can do, say, 50 jumping jacks, so that's B and A, then you get a trip to Vegas? You might say, what? But think about it. If you're the 50th caller and you can do 50 jumping jacks, from that it already follows that you're the 50th caller, in which case from this you're going to get the trip to Vegas. So this should follow, but now let's prove that. Let's show it, right? Proof is, I mean, someone can make assertions in this world, and that's easy enough, and they'll say, yeah, it's true, but the question is, how do you know it's true? Showing that it's true, arguing that it's true, or in the highest cases, proving that it's true, that's much harder. And that's what critical thinking requires. Sometimes you have to, if not proof, burden of proof, if they say, is upon you. Proof may be a hard thing to do, especially in logic where proof is really tight. But in everyday circumstances, proof means something a bit weaker. It just means sufficient evidence. Still, the idea of proof is show me, right? So here we go. Well, let's show you. So you start off here. You start off with the first thing, or-elim. You don't look at the line you're at forever for or-elim. You look only above, right? Do I have or as the main connective? This is the only or I got. There's no or there, so or-elim is out. You can label this, by the way, as 1. You can always label your premises. You can number them, okay? You can't number anything else until basically you're done with the whole proof. So or-elim is out. I'm now on to the backwards method. I look at the line that I'm at right here and identify the main connective. Remember, main connective is outside parentheses, so it's the conditional. And then you guess intro. And then anytime you write down a rule, you have to look it up. So flip to conditional intro on your sheet and look at the bold there. What does the bold say? You need 3 things. First, you need a subproof. So again, you start immediately above, extend it all the way up. No space above there or there. Just make sure it fills up everything in between. On the left, at the top of the subproof goes the left side of the conditional that you're trying to build. So in this case, it's A and B. And then the third thing you need, what goes at the bottom of the subproof, it's the right side of the conditional. Why is this being set up this way? Well, think about it logically. I mean, this is logic after all, so it should be consistent with itself. A subproof literally just says suppose. So this literally says suppose A and B is true. Now you're going to go through some reasoning in between, the dot, 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 yeah? And then you're going to show C follows. So if you think about it, what this eventually says is if A and B is true, then C follows. And you're proving, in essence, that this statement follows. You've introduced a conditional. Okay, so now I move up to C. Remember, the numbering or the highlights, you do that at the end when you do this stuff by hand. You move up to C, and you repeat the process. Anytime you move up, go back to the first page. So you go or elim. Is that an option? Look above. No or. An and just showed up, but no or. So that's why you always have to repeat this process, because sometimes ors pop up. There's no or here, so or elim is out. So now you're on to the backwards method. You look at the line you're at, C, and then you identify the main connective. There isn't one, so this is simple. When it's simple, you skip to step 4. Now you're working top down. You're out of that loop, you're working top down, and you got to use the materials you're given above to figure out a way in between to get to C. Okay? You're going to guess some kind of elim rule. That's all you can write down, but you don't know what yet. So before you write down any rule, you got to think meaning. Top down is all about meaning, and use as many steps in between. If you're lucky, you'll go straight to here, but very often you're going to have to have steps in between to get to here. Yeah? So let's think this through. I'm given if B is true, then C follows. And then I can label this now. This is 2. I can't number anything else. This is A and B. Okay, what am I after? I'm after C. Here's where the C occurs. It says, if B is true, then C will follow. What do I need in order to get C? You first need B, so let's etch in B up there. And then now, when I move up to B, the question is, how do I get B? Well, where do you see B? You see it in 1, but you can never ever get the left side of the conditional. If it's a biconditional, you can, but that's different. This is a conditional. The conditional, from it points one way. You can only get what it points to, the C. You can never ever get the B, unless this were a two-way conditional, a biconditional, right? In the one-way conditional, the single conditional, you can only get what it points to, never ever the left side. Keep that in mind. People often make that mistake. So the B will not come from this. So 1 is out. The only place the B can come from is 2. What does 2 say? A and B. Well, let's think back to the truth table. When is and true? Only when both are true. So that must mean both sides are true. That must mean B must follow from that. So this must follow from 2. And now the question is what? It's some kind of elim rule. Look this up in your sheet. Well, and is the only connective there, so the good guess would be and elim. And if you look it up, this fits the pattern. And elim says you can break off either side of the and. I'm breaking off the B here, right? To get and elim. That's from 2. That's your highlight. And now I can number 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 now. What rule is this? It's sum elim. Where's the C coming from? It's coming from 1. 1 and what? 3. And what rule is that? Conditional elim. Conditional elim, if you look it up, says if you got the conditional and the left side, the B, you can get to the destination, what it points to, the C. And then lastly, I got conditional intro written down, and what are the, you look that up in your sheet, and what's highlighted or boxed? The whole subproof. The whole subproof is boxed, right? Box. So that's 2-4, sorry, not comma, 2-4. And there it is. That's, make sure you can see that, 2-4. That's doing this stuff by hand. And this is, again, more practice to get you guys ready for the midterm. All right, I've got videos and other guidance and the audio files and whatnot to help you through the rest of the problems. So make sure you keep practicing this stuff by hand. But you remember, you're turning all this in by computer. The doing it by hand is just to get you ready for the midterm. Okay. See